Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm going to start out today by apologizing for my hobby state of mind. I received a call earlier today. I think I was expecting, even though I was hoping would never come. But so many other listeners and friends in the hobby have reached out to me in the last month who have been preparing all year for the National just to find out that they've lost their table space because of rules being enforced by the new regime of the National. Yes, my call came this morning. The bad news. My space would not be available to me this year or anyone else in our booth. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around why this is necessary for them to be doing this. The names of the vendor badges, your names of the vendors need to be on the badges, and those are the only names that they're going to give badges are the names that are on the booth that the booth is assigned to. The only names. So if it's only in one name, then that's only one person behind there. If it's in two names, usually like when I fill out every year for, to be on a wait list and hopefully I'd be selected for a booth, they say put a second name on there. And I never realized how important that was. I just put my wife's name on it all the time. And yeah, I guess that's more important than you think. Now there's talk about, they formed a group to be searching social media for people listing booth numbers, matching their names up to the booth, and threatening booth owners that they will lose their booth. If only they'd put that much effort into making this a better experience for everybody, right? I mean, I've never heard such a thing that, we're going to all this length to try to, get people in trouble and take booths away and one complaint everybody had about the National, right? For years and years were these guys that had two showcases in a whole booth, all these empty tables, two showcases with a couple cards in it that they never planned on selling, just out there for display. Why do we need those guys there? Somebody else could be using this booth. I've heard it all. We just multiplied that perfect scenario right there. How many booths now are going to be set up with nothing for sale in them because nobody's allowed to have, if people really follow the rules they want, right? Very few people out there run their own whole booth, right? I mean, they probably could, but I mean, if you've got a whole booth and there's only one or two people behind it, how are you supposed to watch everything? I mean, have you ever been there? Have you ever been to you see the crowds, especially on a Saturday and a Sunday, the crowds that are in there? It's hard enough just to keep an eye on your own stuff, right? You better have everything locked up tight in there because things are going to be disappearing, you know? I don't know. I don't know. It makes no sense to me that you can't have people there helping you, uh, in the booth, that the only people allowed in the booth are the people with their names on. I don't understand it. I don't know how people are going to be able to run their booths this year. People are going to be doing all the work themselves. I mean, and that's not easy. That's not easy. I mean, I know I go and take care of my one little space, and it's hard for me. I couldn't imagine, handling 5 or 6 tables in a booth. We all talk about, if you're looking for that one card, that grail card, that really hard to find card, the National, that's where you're going to find that card. Probably not this year. And I can tell you, just in our booth alone, you're probably removing $100,000 worth of inventory from the National. Just from our booth alone. Now you can multiply that by 1,500 booths, right? So even if you said, okay, 300, 400, 500 people They just have their own booths and they never sublet and they never, you know, maybe 1,000, right? But you go, if you've been there, you go and you just see all the different people. Every table's got a different person at it sitting at that table. So all that's gone now. You're going to have two people in one booth, and that's all that's going to be allowed behind the booth. I don't know. We all know very few people, right, that are going to utilize their own booth or even have enough inventory to fill out a whole booth if they have to not have people, in their booth. I mean, owners have been subletting space for years and it hasn't affected anybody. Who's it affected at the National to be doing that? This year, it feels like it's almost becoming a game of cat and mouse, right? With the new regime and the booth owners. Who can we get? Who can we take their booth away because they didn't play by our rules or the rules that I mean, I don't even know if these are new rules because I don't really know what the rules are there, but I don't know if these are new rules or these are rules that were always in place and these people decide to enforce it. I mean, that possibly could be there too. Um, but it's taken this great event that so many people in the hobby look forward to and turning it into just a negative experience. What is the end game? What does doing this accomplish? I mean, I don't understand. And if people ignore these rules, are they going to be making examples of them at the National? They're going to be shutting their booth down. They're going to be kicking people out. I mean, I can't imagine what's going to be happening out there. Are they going to be running around, looking at there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse when you're at a show and there's a issue going on and you see a promoter and his people and they're looking for certain people or they're regardless of what it is, too many people behind the, how do all these people have vendor badges, but they're not behind the booth. They're all walking around the thing and the promoter is getting mad that there's nothing worse than seeing stuff like that transpire when you're at a show and you think to yourself, is this time well spent? Could you be spending this time doing something a little bit more constructive? And I just have this feeling that this is what it's going to look like this year with people going around and before the show even starts on Wednesday and locking people out of their booths. I could just envision this now. And what happens if they break the rule? Are you just taking the table away? You banning them from coming back into the show? Are you banning them from future national? Right? What is the end game? Funny thing is, and I know these promoters because they set up all around me here in New York and Long Island. Same promoters run their own shows, and they have no trouble with people subletting their tables and booths at their shows and allowing those booth owners to price gouge at the more popular shows. They don't care what they're selling those tables for. They know what's happening. They know the people there in those booths. They know who they sold that booth to. And they show up and there's 9 other people at all these tables. They know that it's being subletted out. They don't have any trouble with that. So why the National? I just don't understand why we're targeting such as the this big show to be doing this type of thing. Why try to make this a negative experience? I mean, it's such a positive experience for everyone. We all look forward to this all year. We plan all year for this. People, myself, and I talk about this all year. I have national inventory. I have a whole shelf set, right, with just all inventory for the national. And I'm not the only one that does this. People do this all year. It's going to sell there. Stuff that sells there doesn't sell at regular shows or sells much better there. And you're putting this stuff together, you're putting it aside, you're building up this inventory. Now we're a little over a month away and you're telling all these people, no, I'm sorry, you can't come. You know, or you can come, but you can't set up. And these booth owners are thinking to themselves, how am I going to fill in all these tables? I mean, I've got all these tables now, and I'm just telling 6 people that You can't come back. You can't set up this year. How am I going to? I didn't plan ahead to fill up 6 tables of inventory. So what's gonna happen? Is it like, are these just gonna be all empty tables sitting out there at the National? I mean, this is the stuff I envision. Last year when they came in to run it, there was all this last year too, right? They were threatening people. What about the unsanctioned trade nights, right? That's what they called it, unsanctioned trade nights. Oh, if you're running a trade night, we're not going to let you into the National, right? Where did that come from, right? Because we weren't running it. We tried to run it. We tried to contact them when we ran a trade night last year. We said, "Hey, we want to do it in this hotel. We want to do it there." And they said, "Well, you have to get permission from, the people at the National." We reached out to them. They said, "No, we're not giving you any permission. We're running our own." So then we went off premises, we found another place, and then there was this like big to do. And then at the end, they just backed down and they let people go ahead, have your trade nights, right? And then next thing you know, there were trade nights happening in every hotel. It didn't hurt anybody. Who did it hurt? Who did it hurt? I mean, we had a trade night at the hotel we were in that started at I think 6 or 7 o'clock, and it went to like 4 or 5 in the morning. There were still people there, but who did we hurt? They didn't hurt anybody. We didn't affect the National in any way. This is why people go there. I mean, it's like 4 or 5 days of you're at the show all day, then you're at a trade, you eat some dinner, and then you go to a trade night, and you may be at trade night all night, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the I mean, this is where the action is. This is why we go. This is the whole reason people go. These are all the things people look forward to. Um, I would like to think, you know, a little pushback like the trade nights last year, a little pushback or enough of pushback that they change the rules and allow booth owners to let other people in. But but it comes down to those dealer badges, right? And I think that's the key right there. That's what puts them in charge. And if they don't want to relax on that and they don't want to say, oh, okay, well, because I'm sure there's enough people saying, like, look, you can't expect me to do all this on my own, right? I don't have enough to fill up my booth. And what's the point there? Well, then we'll take it away. We'll give it to somebody else who does have inventory. I don't know. Is that the end game? Is that saying we want to take people out that are subletting and put one person in that has enough inventory to fill up one booth? I'm not sure if that's the end game. But that's what puts them in control, those badges. And the badges and also the threat of having your booth taken away from you, right? Booth owners playing by the rules. They have to. I mean, it's so important. Who wants to lose their booth? Who wants to be made an example of? All right, that's what it comes down to. It. Who wants to be made an example of? And who really gets hurt in the end? Right? It's the people who have this great inventory that will not be able to put it out there for sale now. But who really gets hurt is the attendees, the people coming to shop. Right? Here, all this missing inventory, probably millions of dollars worth of inventory, not in cases, not out for people to look at, to buy. Just tons of inventory. And I'm listening to other content. I'm listening, talking to people at shows, people I know that are really high end dealers that this is their Super Bowl of the year, where they go out and they make the bulk of their money here at the National that can't even get space now, and really not sure what they're going to do. And enough of those people get together. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think people may be pivoting next year to something else and away from this. If this is going to be the rules, this is what moving forward. This is what the landscape is going to look like. A number of people I've talked to that lost their space have already canceled flights, canceled hotels, and just decided, look, I'm not going to go. It makes no sense. It makes no sense for me to spend all this money to go out there and not be able to make money, not be able to sell cards and make money. And it doesn't as I'm messaging with people in my own booth to saying the same thing. Look, it makes no sense for me to go out there and spend all that money and hope that I can, try to walk from table to table out there trying to sell car. I mean, all these people that had these cards for sale, they're not gonna be able to sell them out there now. Um, I reached out to Scott at WCO Cards today. Him and Anthony are the ones, running the, SoCo Expo. I had Anthony on the podcast a month or so ago, talking about the soccer expo that they're doing out there that's running, the same time as the national. And, lucky for me, they still had space there. And since I was planning on selling mostly women's soccer cards anyways and WNBA, but, the majority was women's soccer cards, that expo is going to be an excellent place for me to set up and sell my soccer. And since I'm not going to be able to set it up at the national, you know, ho hopefully, the word gets out about this, and the soccer collectors, can make it over there. I mean, I know it's gonna be tough. I know it's gonna be tough that people that and try to figure out where everything is going on. I know other shows. I know I was just listening to some other content, and there was another show being set up. One of the listeners, I don't have all the information, so I don't want to name names and get it wrong. But somebody had sent me a link and said, "Hey, check this out." Somebody's talking about another show. Somebody's putting up another show that's running Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At night too, or it's and this is what it's coming down to. People are just going to start setting up shows around around the national, right? Just try to say, look, if I can't get in and sell this stuff, well, we'll set up a show, and hopefully people will come to us over here after hours or something like that. And that may be what the future of this looks like down the road, if these rules are going to be set in stone moving forward. And I talked about collecting all year for this one show. There's so many people that do that. So many people that do that. And what do they do now? I know for me, you know, with this news, I'll be cutting my trip a little short, right? I'm probably going to go out a little later, leave a little earlier, because there's no sense if I don't have a table. There's no sense for me staying, the whole week. Now that my concentration now is going to be more towards, the SoCo Expo. That's that's where my focus is going to be now, because these are the people that are letting me in. This is where I'm setting up now. I'm not setting up in the other place. So my focus is going to be off that now. I'll go, but I will have zero focus on that place now. And it's tough, it's tough that here we are so close to be so disappointed, to get so disappointed this close, little over a month away, and a lot of people are left scrambling now and are in scramble mode. And I think, I think we all knew it was coming, and we hoped it wasn't going to affect us because, of course, we don't own the booths, right? We're just in somebody else's booth. But and it comes down to their decision, and I completely respect what they're saying. I know if I was in that position, I would be saying the same thing. I don't want to lose my booth, so I'm going to play by the rules. Uh, some people I planned on, like some listeners, some, that were, setting up out there, they planned on meeting up with, they've canceled their plans and they just refuse to go now. They're just like, yeah, no, I've lost my space. I'm not even going, not going. I'll take this and I'll end up going to, Burbank in August, or come out to New York in August or something like that, because they just feel like it's an expense now that they're putting out there again, that it's going to be hard to make your money on there selling things while you're out there. And I have to imagine now even more than ever, the off-site unsanctioned trade nights and these other shows like SoCo Expo, that's where the action is going to be, right? Because the people coming with these cards, that the cards that most people wanna buy and they're are gonna be carrying around in their cases. They're not gonna be set up in a booth. So these are the cards that are gonna end up ultimately coming out at these after hour shows, right? And this is what happens anyways. I just talked about this last week, and I've talked about this a number of times. It's the trade nights where all these great cards come out, but even more now than ever, the trade nights, these other shows, this is where these cards are gonna be coming out because they can't put them out inside there. And with a lack of inventory, and competition, I'm sure prices are gonna be high, in the national. I'm sure they're gonna be high. I'm sure people are already thinking, "Well, all these people are not gonna be there. There's gonna be more of a limited amount of cards there, so we're gonna." I mean, as a businessman, I would think the same way. Could start pricing everything a little higher, can always come down, right? But don't start too low. And it's interesting to see, right? We're gonna have to sit back and see what the landscape is gonna look like this year and what the fallout is from these rules, because there's gonna be stories, we're gonna hear them, and I'm sure if they're really gonna stick to this, they're gonna make examples of people. They're gonna definitely gonna make examples of people. And what I don't understand is, like, if you come out and this is what I'm trying to envision in my mind. Somebody's breaking the rules. They come down and say, "You know what? We're shutting this booth down." So you're just gonna have a whole booth just shut down with nothing and make somebody leave and just leave a booth there empty for the whole week. Is that I'm just envisioning gonna go out there and we're gonna see empty booths. That these people broke the rules, we shut them down and tossed them out, you know? Uh, and what's gonna happen moving forward? Like, what does this look like moving forward? Next year, the year after? Are people going to start pivoting to something different and just say, "Look, I don't wanna take a chance." People that have, gotten stung now, a little over a month to go, all of a sudden sitting with all this inventory, I can't go. Can't lost my table, I can't set up. I gotta pivot this year. I've gotta make the best of what I've got going on, but what happens next year? What is the plan next year? What happens to the people like me who got stung now next year? Because we're not gonna be thinking, "Oh, hopefully I have a table next year." No, it's gonna be, we need to look at something different or figure something out, uh, for the next one, or not plan on it at all, right? Plan on doing something in it, pivot towards something else or other shows, like people are setting up, like the one I'm gonna set up at, right? Maybe just set up a bunch of these shows that are surrounding this bigger show. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So you can see I'm that hobby state of mind, right? Like a kick in the gut getting that call this morning. And it's just and man, I had a whole other episode planned today, and I just could not get away from how I was feeling with this today. So this is what you got today. This is what you got from me today. I apologize if it's too negative for you, but this is how my day went. But you know what? Let's try to close on an upbeat note today. I had a couple cards just came back today from PSA. They just arrived about a half an hour ago. So these cards were from 2022 National. They were the Zero Cool Dune promo cards. So I had these from there. I had them in a, in a drawer that they were still sealed. And I saw that these cards were selling, with the new movie had come out. Um, and there's a new series coming on HBO Max in September with this. And I saw these cards were selling, and I said, "You know what? I have these cards." I went and I ripped them out of their pack and sent them off to PSA. One came back. There was two of them. I got a 10 and a 9, and I'll hold them up and I'll give you, if you move them one way, you've got Paul Atreides, and the other way is Chani. So very cool cards. Like I said, I have a 10 and a 9, so I was excited to get those, and great time of year for these to come out. Um, I had a mail day. I ended up getting this, that I got this card. Actually, I got this card in a break, but I got 2 of them within a week, but this one showed up. I have a second one coming. It's a Will Levis Blue Sparkles. So I'm gonna have to check this out, see if it's gradable. I'd love to get that thing graded for the summer show. And Sophia Smith, a gold, number 1 of 10. That was a purchase and a mail day. And also a 2021 U.S. national team set, Sophia Smith, PSA 10. This is the from the women's national team. And I bought this graded as a PSA 10. I did not grade that myself. This weekend, going to be walking a local show, Plainville, Connecticut. I'll be walking that show on Saturday. Sunday, I'll be setting up at the New Britain show, that monthly show. I just did the Friday show last week, but this is the regular Sunday show. So I'll be setting up there on Sunday. And the following week, I'm going to travel during the week. I'm going to go see my daughter and the grandkids, and then on the way back, I'm going to be at Chantilly. I'm going to be set up there at Chantilly and moving that football, hopefully, in Chantilly. But Sunday, this Sunday's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So Monday's episode will be just like this week. It'll come out on Monday, probably around noontime. I'm probably going to record it Monday morning and put it out there. You may see it earlier, but I'm pretty sure you're going to see it on Monday. That's all I have for you. Hopefully, I'm going to come back energized in a much better mood on on Monday. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.